Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Webinar Wednesday. My name is Ria Stark, and I'm so glad that you're able to join us today. We are live this Wednesday afternoon, unless you're watching the recording in the future. But if you are here today, you have the opportunity to ask questions. So if you think of anything, please add those into the questions panel throughout the presentation, and we'll get to those at the end of the session. So yes, this is being recorded, so if you have to step away or if you want to share this with one of your colleagues later, you are welcome to do so. That will be up on our website starting tomorrow, and you'll get an email reminder that that's available for you. So today we're going to be talking about how TLC prioritizes those development ideas onto our roadmap. And this is from our perspective. Every software company is going to be a little bit different, but at TLC, our most important stakeholder is our customers. So today you're going to see how we incorporate that customer feedback into those development decisions. So without further ado, I'm pleased to welcome our Director of Product, Ebony Pacheco-Hoos. Ebony, thank you so much for joining us once again for Webinar Wednesday.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining me here to listen to me talk for a little bit. And again, would love to hear your questions as we're moving through our presentation today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go to my next slide. Our agenda today is really going to talk about our kind of high level, how do we build our TLC roadmaps? And what goes into building a roadmap, and maybe even what is a roadmap, if you haven't heard that before, although we tend to say that a lot here at TLC. We love our roadmaps. And talking through kind of all of the pieces that will go into creating a plan for what we're going to develop over the next release, 2 releases, year, 2 years, 3 years, etc. When we get through kind of with building roadmaps, we're going to dive into what customer feedback looks like and where it comes from, and then how we utilize that to inform development. And then finally, we're going to cover how you as customers or how our customers can stay informed about the development process overall and what is the status of their idea as they have moved through the development process. So we're going to get started right away, and we're going to first talk about building TLC roadmaps. When we are building a TLC roadmap, and this is going to be from the kind of view of building a roadmap for Library.Solution, Library.Solution for schools, and Carl Solution. Those are our three ILSs that we serve to our customers. There are kind of buckets of information that are incoming to the product team that help us to build up those roadmaps. The first bucket is addressing needs. And there are many needs that we do have to think about as we're building up a roadmap. First of all, first and foremost, we have to look at the needs of TLC. What do we need to do for our product? How do we ensure that our product has our products have what they need to be able to serve our customers? How do we make sure that they are up to our standards? How do we make sure as a business that we are producing software that we can support and provide for our library customers at all levels? There's also the needs of the product itself. What does Library.Solution need to be able to continue to function? What does Carl Solution need as we really go in and take a look at functionality that is available to our libraries? When it comes to addressing needs, we're also looking at the needs of the library market itself. Again, how do workflows change? How are our libraries functioning differently, operating differently? This was especially prevalent during and after the COVID years. How did those workflows change? How have libraries responded to all of the things that are happening in their communities? And it really is about kind of looking at the needs of the market and how we kind of sequence functionality that will meet those needs. So that is kind of first and foremost. What are the needs of the product, of TLC, of the market, and how do we line up our development roadmap to fulfill those needs? Beyond that, we also take a look at security, and we want to make sure our security is up to date. What this means is we are really keen on ensuring that our technology stack overall is updated, because what that allows us to do is take advantage of any security, any technology, and performance updates that are available in that technology stack. And when I'm talking about the technology stack itself, it really is thinking about those things kind of under the hood. So when I am talking about LS2PAC or Carl Connect Discovery that runs on a particular type of server, and it needs all of the underpinnings need to be updated with new versions of the software that allows us to build Carl Connect Discovery and LS2PAC, for example. So we really do make sure that those things are up to date. So our code libraries that our developers use to build our interfaces and to maintain our interfaces and release our interfaces, all of those things have to be updated. So they're not as flashy. We don't demonstrate them as much during maybe a release webinar, but those are all must-haves. They are all very priority to ensure that we can continue to maintain our platforms overall for our customers. And it also will bring in tie into our security posture. By addressing and updating our technology stack, we get all of the value that these external code libraries have put into their own security posture, and we can make sure that we can take those into account as we're building interfaces for our libraries. And then the third kind of bucket of data here is actually a bucket of multiple things. And that is our incoming signals. So we get a lot of incoming data from various places here. And we in the product team have to kind of take a look at all of those incoming signals and determine what, rate them, prioritize them based on what we are hearing, seeing throughout everything. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about those incoming signals. The first is our proactive security scans. We do run a CISA scan weekly, sometimes bi-weekly on our released software solutions. So every couple of weeks, we run a security scan as, again, new vulnerabilities are found and put in place. We scan and a report is produced, and the results of those reports can be provided to the product team to alert us of any critical needs to address. That means that we can go in and we can create a place on the roadmap for addressing any outstanding concerns, whether that is a roadmap that is scheduled 1 to 2 releases out, or in the scenario where it's a new vulnerability that has kind of popped up overnight, and it's something that we have to address kind of with a critical patch overall. It really gives us that ability to take that information and turn it into a valuable piece of data on our roadmaps overall and put into motion in our plans. Another incoming signal is overall library industry trends. We are, again, look at research and discovery. We get information on what our libraries are doing, what national libraries are doing, what kind of pain points they're running into within their workflows, within their community, within their service goals, and what they're trying to do to meet their patrons, their students, where they are in the library. So part of our job is to take those signals and review them and see where they meet up or where they can be translated into roadmap items, things that we take and build out and plan for overall. So we're looking at those industry trends within the library community. We're also listening to our sales and marketing folks. Again, our sales folks who are out there talking to prospects, who are on the phone with our school libraries, our public libraries, our consortia members, all of that, whether they are current customers or they are prospective customers. We're out there and hearing what their needs are. And what happens in those scenarios is the sales team will come back to the product team and talk to us, give us information, give us a kind of a download on what information came up in those calls, what those libraries are looking for, the trends that they might be seeing as they're going out into libraries within various communities. So again, there's a lot of discussion there to be able to bring that information back. We also get updates from marketing. So Ria here again having us present our webinars. Ria will get a lot of feedback again in our Facebook posts, in our social media posts, in our webinars and our questions, and come back to us with here's what I'm hearing, whether it's from current customers or prospective customers. So there's a lot of discussion that is happening around sales and marketing and bringing that all of their kind of downloads back into the product team overall. And then finally, and kind of most importantly, as Maria mentioned, is our customer feedback. And customer feedback is driven by a couple of different kind of key elements. The first is customer conversations. Where we again are having those conversations with customers, and we being the TLC royal we overall. This also includes conferences, whether they are state shows, national shows, etc. We have those customer conversations and feedback. And then finally is our ideas portals overall, where we allow customers, or our customers have the ability to go in and submit ideas. And we'll dive into that in just a little bit. But again, you can see there is a lot of incoming information into the product team when we are looking to build out those roadmaps overall and to build out our plans for addressing development. So we have to parse through those things overall to determine what we are going to be building, what we are going to be planning for. So that's part of the fun of our job. So as we move forward, we want to dive a little bit more into our customer feedback, since that is the main goal of this webinar, to understand how we utilize that information. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of our 3 points of access to customer feedback. The first is our customer conversations. We have scheduled customer calls, whether they are monthly, bi-monthly, once a quarter. Again, we have our calls set up with key stakeholders at our libraries to be able to have those conversations, share anything that is going really well, share any pain points, give feedback on the product itself. And that information does come back into the product team. So again, we're able to have kind of a download of those conversations and hear what our customers are sharing about their experiences with the product and how we can utilize that feedback to shape our future plans is really, again, key within our scenarios. We also have a number of emails. Our product team is always available to have our customers, current or prospective, reach out to us to send an email if there's a question about a piece of functionality, if there's a question about something on the roadmap, if there is a question or a comment about how something is working. Our product management team is there and ready and willing and excited to hear that feedback from customers, to dive into those answers. We love chatting with our customers. We love hearing what they have to say, good and bad. We want to make our product be fabulous for our customers. That is our primary goal. We love what we see during the development phase, and we're always excited to present that to our users and to really get it into their hands so we can hear that feedback, because the feedback is what makes our product great, because we take that feedback, turn it back around into our next roadmap, our next release, our next set of goals to continue evolving and making that product better. So we have our emails. We have listservs available. So not only can customers chat with us, but they can chat with each other within their communities, within their school communities, their public library communities, their academic library communities, their large consortial communities. All of those listservs are available. And TLC product staff are there too to listen and see and be able to chime in if there is a question. So again, kind of the openness and the ability to have those conversations is great. We also have access to some of our forums for, again, sharing information back and forth, asking questions, getting answers, etc. And then our two of the things that are kind of predominantly driven by our product team are our roundtables and focus groups. So our roundtables allow us to set up and create a space for inviting our customers, typically in smaller communities. So a schools roundtable, a Library.Solution Public's roundtable, a Carl Solution Public Libraries roundtable, where we can go in and really allow for our customer voices to come out. We go into those roundtables to really hear what our libraries are saying. Again, not just to us, but to each other. The questions, the problems that they're experiencing in their libraries, the shared experiences, and hearing that is key to what we're doing overall. So we can hear those conversations. Now, sometimes it may be specifically that we're looking at a particular piece of functionality, and we might go into a focus group where the TLC product staff is really driving that conversation and looking for some specific feedback and answering or asking those leading questions, those questions that are looking to give to get feedback in within our process. And you'll hear a little bit of more of that in next month's webinar, a little bit of a sneak peek about how we're doing that and why it's important. So again, those customer conversations are key to our process. And we at TLC love talking to our customers. We love hearing from our customers because that is, we're all library lovers, long-standing library tenured employees, and we're not just working at a software company, we're working at a library software company. And our goal is to serve libraries. And we do that through serving our customers. So those customer conversations are just the tip of the iceberg, but really allow us to dive into that. The next way that we solicit customer feedback is through conferences. Again, I mentioned the state shows and the national shows. So we typically have TLC staff at various shows throughout the year. Some of your bigger state shows, the Texas School Library Association coming up soon. But we also are at some of the smaller state shows as well. So again, all over the map. We're at the PLAs, the ALAs. You will always see the TLC booth overall, and you can always come and chat with Maria and sometimes myself and sometimes John Burns, our COO. We're always there and wanting to hear the feedback, hear those concerns, hear what you're running into, hear the great ideas of, hey, we're taking on this new strategy. We're going to move forward with this new plan. I would love if TLC could help me put together something that would allow us to do this in an easier way. That type of conversation, again, comes in during those shows and gets communicated to the product team if they were not there, to be able to build on that and see where it fits into a plan, to really dive into those ideas and figure out where it might make sense to tackle that in development if development is required. Because sometimes, again, it's not always going to be a result of development is needed. Sometimes it's just a matter of talking through, here is the program, here is the service we'd like to put into play. The library will come and say that. And we can say, you know what, that is something that we can do today by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's jump on a call when you're back in your office and we'll talk through the process. Or let's create a project card and we can get that going. So it's not always going to result in development. Sometimes it's just a matter of, let's get a quick project in play so that we can move forward and get you moving into your new kind of strategy overall. So again, exciting conversations overall. We also do have our TLCU annual users conference. So this is TLC's conference that we put on in conjunction with our amazing customers who do a fantastic job of presenting material from their own libraries, presenting again things that are happening in their communities. But we also utilize this time to share our roadmap, to share our development, what we have done in Library.Solution, Library.Solution for Schools, and Carl Solution, what we are planning to do, what our high-level goals are. We really utilize that time to share and get feedback on what is coming. So again, being able to present and hear things, hear questions, hear kind of the response to some of those things will help us to sometimes solidify things either way. Is it in this next release, for example, or is it a little bit further out because, hey, this thing might be the priority today, right? So there's a lot of kind of moving things around. So again, conferences are a great way to get that customer feedback. Our last option here is our ideas portals, where we're really, again, giving our customers the ability to dive in and create, have an idea for a product, a service, a functionality, a workflow that they would love to see within the product or would love to improve in the product. They can simply go to the ideas portal and utilize that and submit an idea. So we're going to go ahead and dive into those next. Ideas portals. We do offer our two ideas portals, one for our Carl ideas, which is utilized for Carl's solution, and one for Ellis ideas, which is utilized for Library.Solution and Library.Solution for schools. Now you do have to register for these, so we are able to provide a registration form to our portals, but once you are registered and signed up, you as a TLC customer have access to the portal. When you access the portal itself, you can simply come in and you can see all of the ideas that are available that have been submitted by TLC staff and have been submitted by other libraries utilizing the system. When you come in, you have the ability to search and find ideas that might match what you're looking for. You can also vote on existing ideas. So again, utilizing your vote, your individual vote as a Carl user or an LS user, you can come in and add your voice to that particular entry. You can also go in and you can add a comment. You can give information. You can say, hey, this would be important to my library because of this and this and this, or even add on. I see this idea says this, but what if we could also have this information or be able to do this or be able to add another workflow, because then it would be, it allows for these enhanced, to me, conversations, not just with your community, your fellow Carl users or LS users, but also with the TLC product team. We get notified of every idea that comes into the system. We have the ability to go into the comments. We can have conversations. We can ask questions. We can ask clarifying questions. We can kind of think through, kind of the thoughts with you. Like, that's a great idea, but what if this or this or this? Right? So there's a lot of opportunity here for just interacting at a product level. This, in this case, is not a support ticket. This is really more about having conversations with the product team, submitting again an idea and saying, hey, it would be great if we could do this. It'd be great if this happened. Oh, I want to be able to have a brand new launch page. I want to be able to do a particular thing in LS2 inventory. So within here, there are a lot of opportunities here to just be able to share your ideas and vote on them if you want to vote on them overall. So the ideas portal really just does give us a lot of input, and it is a large amount of signal that we utilize in our day-to-day work as a product team to be able to go in and say, how are these ideas not just managed and, incoming and seeing all of them there, but how do we utilize that as we're diving into development? And that's what we're going to focus on next. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and go to my next. So how do those ideas inform our development? There are kind of three main areas of how the product team will look at ideas and utilize ideas within our ideas portals as we're building up our roadmaps, as we're refining our roadmaps, as we're looking at plans overall. First and foremost is a general backlog refinement. As a product manager or product owner, the team will go in and will review ideas as they come in. We call this our triage stage. Just one moment. Within our triage stage, again, we're taking a look to make sure that everything is tagged appropriately. It has the right assignee so that the right product manager is taking a look, diving in. It has the appropriate categories. You know, is this an LS2 pack change in LS? Is this a LS2 staff change? Is this a Carl Connect discovery or Carl Connect staff change in item maintenance, for example? So we really want to make sure that we're tagging it appropriately. By doing this, we can run reports on our end to be able to pull all of those ideas. For example, Kristen Gray, one of our senior product managers, may go in and pull a report for any WCAG ideas, right? And pull those back in and review them and be able to quickly get those together so that she can triage them and really take a look at what she needs to do. So it's putting together and making sure that everything is marked appropriately so that when we are diving in a bit more, they are ready to go. So the second is through research and requirements. When a member of the product team is working to create specifications for user stories, and user stories are what we use to drive development. So we go in and create this user story that outlines kind of the development we're looking for, what the success criteria for that user story looks like. All of that is outlined. It may include things like wireframes and complete workflows and all of the things that need to be updated. All within there. But as part of that research and requirements writing that a product manager or product owner does, they are going in and they're reviewing ideas within the portals. They're finding ideas that might be related to the functionality or workflows that they are currently researching and writing requirements for. They're making those links overall. They're kind of doing a preparatory step that says, okay, as I'm building up my user stories for a backlog, you know, and putting them all together and ensuring that I have everything ready to go for the development process. If something is prioritized, I need to do this, I need to do A, B, C, and D. And it really is taking a look at all of those ideas so that when we are ready to pull that in or assign a particular user story to a release, the product manager can simply say, yes, oh, this is related to these 5 ideas. If we're going to be doing this, I've included requirements 5, 6, 7, and 8, because if we do that, that will capture these ideas. So it really is a lot of kind of digging in and ensuring that the user story represents all pieces, not just a single piece, but to all pieces of kind of the puzzle itself to go in and pull those ideas together into the user story so that it's a bit more straightforward as we look at queuing that work up for development. Thirdly, when a product team member is doing roadmap review, so in this case, when we talk about roadmap review, the development has been assigned to a release. It could be the next release. It could be the upcoming, you know, the upcoming release that hasn't started yet. Maybe it's a release for next year, but it's been assigned to a release. So it's a little bit higher on the list. They are going to be going in and reviewing the work that has been assigned. And now they're taking a look at all of those ideas that are associated with that particular feature or functionality that we're looking to develop. And they are ensuring that it's pulled in and saying, okay, while we're in there, we should be looking at this. For example, maybe we're taking a look at hold placement in our discovery, so Carl Connect discovery or LS2 pack. And you know, we're making some changes to how holds work. For example, part of that roadmap review for that particular story would be to dive in and say, okay, here are all of the ideas that are around hold placement in LS2 pack or hold placement in Carl Connect Discovery. And we're going to go in and we're going to find them out. Okay, if we are going to be rewriting this, should we take this into account? Or, okay, if we're going to have to change the workflows, that's going to impact ideas, 5, 6, and 7. So let's make that part of the requirements. So it is really pulling all of those together that says, in a way that says, yes, we're going to be in this area of the code and we're going to be changing things. So let's take the opportunity to be able to pull in these changes that our customers are looking for because it will make an overall improved experience. It will meet the need of the roadmap entry, which may be a customer priority and it may not be, or it could be a TLC priority, or it could be a market priority. But now we're trying to also tie those market priorities, TLC priorities, sales and marketing priorities, etc., to ideas that customers have submitted and are looking for, again, changes within the product. So we're always trying to tie those into ideas that we have on our kind of backlog overall. And that is, again, the most exciting part of this process is to go in and really see how we can pull all of those in and utilize that information going forward. Now, we'll also utilize the votes that are on those things. So part of it is obviously when we're looking, or maybe not obviously, so I won't say that. In our line of work, in products line of work, when we're building the product roadmap, we have to always think about time and ensuring that we can deliver on our schedule in getting a release out the door. So not everything can be developed in the same release or in a single release. So what we have to do is take into account the priority of that functionality. So while we're doing that roadmap review and research and requirements writing, we're also taking into account the number of votes, because the number of votes that a particular idea might get could also inform us, does inform us into how important it is for our user base. Because the more votes that something could have, it can show or kind of report to us that this is not something, this is something that a number of our libraries would be interested in. So it can give it, again, a little bit of a bump. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to have all kinds of votes before we would do that development. It's just another piece of data that will help to inform us overall. And that's what all of kind of what I've been talking about today really refers to, is there's an enormous amount of incoming signals from various places. And we're really utilizing all of this information and all that we get from our customers and from our internal teams and from the library industry itself to help us put together a roadmap that will meet the needs of many pretty consistently. So there's a lot of juggling and there is a lot of really thinking through. And sometimes when we go in and say, okay, this is our plan for our next roadmap, that may change, because a new signal may have come in that is a higher priority, for example. So we will have to do some, kind of repave that roadmap and then get us back on track sometimes. So that's part of the excitement of the job. So now that we have information about how that feedback is going to inform development, what happens when things are now in development? Well, part of that is keeping our customers informed. And we do that through a number of ways to say, hey, you've submitted these ideas. These ideas are things that we want to do, or these ideas are things that we've now planned to do, or we've had these conversations. We are moving through the process that is on the roadmap. Let's move through here. We have a number of ways that we can let customers know what's happening. First, we have our roadmap updates. Our roadmap updates will allow us to provide to our customers real-time progress. So for Carl Solution, we do offer a kind of real-time progress and transparency of what is on the roadmap and what is currently in development. You can see and dive in and kind of see within each release what is planned, what status is in, down to this is in planning versus this is in development versus this is in QA. So you get a real view into what our development process is. within this view. Additionally, it provides transparency and availability for our customers to be able to really dig in and see what is the impact to me as a user or as a library staff member. Within our roadmap, we offer a pop-up that allows us to give a general summary of the development that is happening. We give what the impact is to the product overall. So this is what is going to change. It's going to change screen 1, screen 2, screen 3. This workflow will be modified. And then finally, we provide a value. So why do I care? And why does a library care that you've done this development? And again, it's really about bringing transparency into that process overall. So that is one way we get this roadmap is for Carl Solution is always available to our customers. There's a link from our Carl community page that you can always access this in real time. This is something we are, again, reviewing and determining the best way to have for our library.solution customers as well. So we're excited about moving in that direction. Next up, we have our ideas portals updates. So as ideas move into an in-development process or a planning process, you will see those updates within your idea that you've submitted. You will see those statuses move from, future consideration or planning for a future release or, assigned to a particular release to in development. You'll see that update within the portal itself. So there's not a question of, oh, is it actually there? You actually have the view to see that called out. You can filter your statuses to see the things that are in development overall. You'll also see comments and discussions updates. So again, because the ideas portal allows for these conversations, when something moves into development, you can see the comment from the the associated product manager or product owner. They're going to say, hey, this is something that we are taking a look at. This is something that we are planning to address in this release that's in development now. Here is some, some previews of some things overall. So you're going to get that type of information within those portal updates. Again, kind of real-time updates from our product team. And again, we also do offer our products. We're going to be starting to offer our product sneak peeks. So again, we're looking at being able to have a webinar where we can give you a preview of the development that is in process. So those kind of not real time, but earlier than a release demo, here is the functionality that we're doing so far. It allows us to get some earlier feedback on our development and on our implementation of new functionality or updated functionality. And it's always exciting to get that earlier so that we can incorporate any changes that we need to make into the product overall. So be on the lookout for product sneak peeks coming soon. Check your Nerd Rabbit news as we move forward in the upcoming months. As features move from development to released, there are a number of ways that we then let our customers know or alert our customers that these features are ready or released. The first is through our communities. We have amazing communities that allow us to share information with our customer base. We have our Carl community site and LS community site. Both of these will have access to blog posts that come from our product team members, from our marketing team members. You will see some launch marketing ideas. You will see some sneak peeks of functionality that will be coming in the next release in our LS community. In Carl community, you'll have access to see some of those roundtables, recordings of sneak peeks and things like that, all available within those communities. When we have releases ready, that's where you can see release announcements that will go out or be posted. You also have access to release notes and things that are coming within those releases overall. When our releases are ready, either for general release or early adopter on the library.solution side, you'll see some release announcements as well as planned webinars where our product team will dive into the functionality that we have developed in the last release, allowing for questions and comments and feedback overall. And finally, we do have our ideas portal updates, which allows us again to take the next step in wrapping up. As a release wraps up, a product team member will go in and update that status to a released status and comment so that you can see, all right, now that feature that I voted on, it's been released, it's been updated. Oh, it's coming soon. And guess what? You get that vote back. So you're now ready to vote on your next priority overall to be able to begin the process again. And it is really exciting to again to feel and see that you have impact on our development because we are really truly trying to develop what our customers need for their libraries. And with that, I'll go ahead and move to questions.
All right, thank you so much, Ebony. I'll give you a chance to get some water and catch your breath, and I'll share. If you all have any questions, please add those into the questions panel. And while you're thinking through that and processing, I'll provide a little bit more information as well to follow up with what Ebony shared. So, yes, conferences are a great way for us to be able to talk to our customers. It's always so nice to be able to see them in person and to hear those stories that just translate really well in person rather than through text. And so, our next large conference, national conference that we are going to be exhibiting at is PLA 2026 in April 1st through the 3rd, I believe. And so, if you're going to be in Minnesota and you're going to PLA, please stop by our booth, have a seat, chat with us. I will be there if you want to look for a friendly face. Tell me everything about what you like, what you don't like about your product. We take all of that back to our product team. And the other one that Ebony mentioned for our current customers is TLCU. This is our annual user conference. It takes place virtually, which is lovely because it allows more of our customers to attend and to provide that feedback. So if you're one of our current customers on the call, please bookmark these dates. November 1st, or excuse me, no, don't bookmark that date. November 3rd through the 5th, 2026. I'll say that again because I messed it up. November 3rd through the 5th will be TLCU 2026. All right, so while folks are typing up questions, I see one just came in. I'll let a few more filter in. But Ebony, as you were talking about the ideas portal, I wanted to mention that we do also have our support team as well that's available 24/7. You can ask questions there, no question too big, too small. And sometimes those get turned over into ideas because it isn't a new feature or a new bug. So, Ebony, would you talk a little bit about the difference between a bug and a feature and how we define that at TLC?
Yeah, definitely. So typically a bug is going to be something where the functionality exists and isn't working as we would expect it to. So it certainly wasn't the intent that we would, press a button here and that, for example, when the alert that comes up, it would be partially hidden behind a screen, for example, right? So that's a bug in the software, or an issue itself. A new feature is going to be something like this functionality doesn't exist at all today, right? I want to be able to press this button and have it do this particular function. That doesn't exist today. We will create a new feature for that. And then there's a third option, and there's an improvement where it says, okay, there is an existing workflow and it works this way. And yes, that was the intended workflow and it all functions fine. But if it did this thing in addition, it would make it so great. And that would be an improvement.
That's a great distinction between the two. All right, one of our questions that came in is how far out does TLC plan the roadmap?
So we overall, we'll try to plan out. I would say I would love to plan out for, kind of a long-term roadmap where it's covering that kind of 3 to 5 year range, a midterm roadmap, which would be kind of 2 to 3 years, and then a short term, which would be a year out. But what we've found is, well, we can do that, and we often will, to share kind of this is the direction we're thinking of going in. The farther out that we plan, the more nebulous it is, right? There is a lot that happens within even sometimes within just a single release time frame, but it- it's more the closer that a release time gets to kind of release time, the more shaped that roadmap is. So while we might have a longer term roadmap, we know that that is a lot more kind of under consideration. These are the things we're thinking of, but it's really hard to solidify something, even beyond a year out because so many things change in the library industry. Um, quickly. So sometimes we will have planned out an entire roadmap and a week later we've kind of thrown everything up into the air or kind of getting some things in a row, right? So that's overall where we have try to have a real solidified year plan. So for the next two releases, for example, and then knowing that after that, yes, these are the things that we're thinking about, but they are tentatively planned until we get closer. So we can like tentatively stack them up, but the closer we get to release, we'll firm up our plan.
Thanks, Ebony. And I really like the phrase roadmap because it does feel like your GPS when you're driving. You know, if you're doing a cross country road trip, you have like the general plan that you're going to do from to get from, one state to another. And when you zoom out, you can see, yes, you're following this highway, but sometimes you end up in a city and there is road construction that you weren't planning for, and you just have to find a slight path around to navigate. Yes, jinx on the talking with our hands, Ebony. So I love that phrase roadmap because I think it's accurate for how we portray software. And like Ebony says, once we get to that point, we have a much better idea of how we need to navigate or go around, or even new sites that we need to see that we didn't realize until we got there, which is also part of that roadmap planning process. And Ebony, some terminology that we use at TLC is also backlog. So for folks who may not be familiar with the roadmap versus the backlog and when things are officially added to the release, can you add a little bit more clarity around what that means?
Sure. So overall, a backlog is, it's utilized in a lot of different kind of areas of kind of software. In our case, or in my case, when I'm talking about a backlog, I'm talking about a product backlog overall. So the idea is that there's no bad idea, right? You submit an idea, you submit a bug, you submit an improvement. Those are all options for making the product better. But there has to be a landing place for those. We don't say, nope, that's not a good backlog. That's not a good idea. That's not a good improvement. We always want to keep track of those because those are things that may rise to the top later. But we know that that isn't the thing that has our focus right now. So we want a place for those backlog items to land and live that we can see and prioritize and group. There's a title that is in product management and product ownership, which is about kind of grooming the backlog. And it really is, all right, is this still something that I'm going to go in and it's basically my list, right? It's my very long, very big to-do list that allows me to go in and see, yes, this is something that is there. It is relevant. It is this. Oh, but things have changed. We need to add more information to this. There's been a whole new set of requirements, for example. So we have to modify that. We want to keep track of it, but at this point, it has not been assigned to a release, right? Typically for us, the roadmap is something that we are active, something that is on the roadmap, whether it's a long-term roadmap addition or a near term or an upcoming in the next year roadmap, right? There is kind of this things that we're having discussions around. Those are going to get higher. I'm taking those things from my backlog to put into my pool to say, all right, are we ready here? Let's start digging in to creating user stories around this backlog item so that we would really start planning things out, right? So that's kind of the difference between it's my to-do list versus, well, not even a to-do list. Well, yeah, I have lots of to, but kind of my placeholders, right? These are the things that are there that I can build up a release from.
All right, so I love a good analogy. So I'm going to relate this to your TBR, your to be read list. I feel like everyone has one that will probably outlive them. Your TBR, that's very similar to the backlog. All the books that you would love to read at some point in time end up on the backlog. That short to large stack of books that end up on your nightstand, that's your roadmap.
Yep, that is exactly it. And I know that I specifically have my TBR, which because I do ebooks, right? So all mine is in a journal because I love journaling. Anybody hit me up if you want to talk about journaling. But mine is but it's like, 200 titles long at this point. From within there, I have to pull in the things that I'm actually reading next. So I'm taking my TBR of features in Carl Solution or Library Solution, and from there, I'm building up my reading soon or up next or
Yep.
reading for 2026.
Exactly. And then I feel like we can all relate to that moment where, yes, you have that large stack of books ready to go, and then the new release comes out and it jumps the queue. Sometimes that happens in development as well when we get, new legislation or very important market trends that really impact that roadmap. It happens. We plan for that. We know it's an inevitable situation with roadmap development. All right, I do have a couple more questions to get through. So this one says, if you could talk more about, or can you tell us more about roundtables and what the availability is? And before you answer that, I will say that at TLC, the level of access that our customers have to our product team outweighs what our competitors are doing. The fact that we can get Ebony on a webinar right now, and when she's working with customers, there's that direct email back and forth. You'll see her at conferences too. Just the level of access that our customers have to product is incredible. So roundtables are a very good example of that. So using that as a springboard, I'll reiterate the question. Can you talk more about what the roundtables are and what that availability looks like?
Yes, so the roundtables and focus groups are typically going to be presented by the product team. So for those that who may come to kind of the webinar Wednesdays, those are produced and kind of set up by marketing. And Ria does an amazing job of pulling in a variety of topics. For our roundtables and our focus groups, they are going to be focused on product overall, and they may be, again, just a quick discussion, or they may be very focused to really talk about a particular topic. Now, what we have been doing consistently in our Library.Solution for schools is we have a monthly roundtable. For Carl Solution customers, we have a quarterly roundtable that we fill up at that time. What we are going to be starting is doing the same for our Library.Solution public libraries, where we are going to be setting up and having folks register to be part of our roundtable group, where you would then be invited to, again, likely our quarterly roundtables overall, where we will come together as a group with different topics, with different product staff, to have those discussions, whether it's a focus group, whether it's a roundtable itself, but be on the lookout because we will be doing something very similar to what we do for Library.Solution for schools with our Library.Solution Publix customers. So we're really excited to get that going. And moving forward. Additionally, we'll be moving, as I mentioned, into, I think, what is going to be a monthly sneak peek webinar, which will just be hey, come, join us this month to see what's happening in Library.Solution development-wise, or see what's happening in Carl Solution development-wise. Quick demo, development in process. We're really excited about that. So
Yeah. And speaking of some of those new items we're launching, so this next question I think will help you talk more about that. So it says you have the live view of the roadmap available for Carl. Is that coming soon to Libraries Solution?
it's something that we're working through in this. So one of the big things that we're kind of working through is what is the right view for our very large Library.Solution cohort of customers. So the difference again is we have a smaller cohort of Carl Solution customers who we have kind of provided kind of that level of access for a bit longer, but we're looking to make those consistent overall because That is what the name of the game is right now is consistency because that allows our product team to be able to kind of easily move between the products when they have to, right? We have staff who work in both Library.Solution and Carl Solution, so we want to make sure that there is a consistent employee position. And we want to make sure that our customers are getting what they need. So getting what they need out of our roadmaps and our software. So we have a fantastic product in AHA to be able to present those roadmaps, and we're working through building up a view for our Library.Solution customers and schools customers so that you have, again, some of the same consistent access to what is available and where things are within the development process.
Perfect. Thanks, Ebony. And that is the last question I see. So if you want to jump to our next slide, I will talk about our next webinar. So today we heard all about how TLC uses that customer intel to prioritize what goes on to that roadmap. And next time we're going to be talking about how once a feature has been prioritized, what does that development look like and how we continue to keep the customer at the heart of those conversations. So that registration for that will open tomorrow, and look for customers are the heart of user experience at TLC. It'll be 1 month from now. And for this webinar, the recording will also be available starting tomorrow at that same web address. So when you go check out that recording, check for that registration for next month as well. Ebony, thank you so much for your time today and for really providing that sneak peek behind the scenes look at what a product does and all of the elements that go into making that work. So thank you for your time today and going into the product too.
Thank you. Hope everybody has a great afternoon.
Yeah, thanks everyone. We'll see you on the next webinar.